Officers on the pursuit call. Suspect vehicle was last seen heading north near the power station. Containment will be set up ahead of his last known direction of travel. This call is still code 6. Handle on TAC 3.
I got the Japanese. Oh. Can you tell I ain't never had Nismo parts before? I ain't never thought I'd have Nismo parts. As you've seen, I have Nismo lower control arms for the S14. These took a while to come in, but I was able to source some, get them, and now they're here. Now, the main thing with the control arms is from a suspension standpoint, at least in my preference, there's not too much of a reason for somebody to have adjustable lower control arms, because you can get the ones that are like the bars and you can adjust it and stuff like that, but when you have all of the other arms adjustable lower control arms don't really make that much of a difference. And another thing that I think about when it comes to the adjustable lower control arms is it doesn't make that much of a difference, but on top of that, it's another point that can fail in the suspension system. You're adding adjustability to an arm that normally doesn't, and it's not giving you that much gains, but it is adding another weak point in the arm itself, because now it's just threaded in that one spot that could snap, whereas these braces or these arms are all one piece. So lower control arms are pretty easy. You have one bolt here, one bolt there, and then the main nut right there. Now that one was gunked on with a lot of dirt, so I just hit it with some WD-40. Did the same thing to both sides, but I haven't gotten the other one off, and then it should just pop out. So I'm not finding it easy to get the lower control arm off without the subframe being bolted back in, so I'm about to put it back in, but I'm refreshing these brackets first. So I'm painting this one after I cleaned it up and stuff. So once these are done drying, or once this one's done drying, I'm gonna do that one, and then I'll pop these in and pop the subframe back in. So we got the subframe in. The hyperlapse that you guys would have just saw was the first of like 3 attempts. Getting this thing in there is a pain, because if one thing ain't lining up, nothing's lining up. That's just the way that it works. So we got that going on. Subframe is in. We're good to go on that. I just had this jack on there supporting it, but if you look, we don't have any more play in our subframe at all. Now, the subframe isn't torqued down. Technically speaking, nothing back here is torqued down. It's just tight. So once I get the lower control arms in, then I'm gonna torque everything to factory specs, and we can get this thing back on all 4 wheels. But I do, I mean, YouTube isn't necessarily a primary thing for me, but just to take a segue on the side of it, there might be longer periods between times where I upload, not just because the car is nearing completion and all that for saving money and stuff, but on the other side of things, I bought a bus. That's pretty much what the other side of things is. This entire bus is mine, but I didn't just buy one, I bought 2, and I'm actually going to be building the inside of this bus. So it's gonna take a lot of my time, a lot of my money, so on and so forth. And if I'm working on the bus, I'm not working on a 240. I'm not gonna dive too far into it, because this is something that I don't plan on recording and putting on the channel and stuff, but just to be a little more transparent, because if it takes me 2 months to upload a new video, it's probably because I was working on this thing. So outside of that, back here we have this in, like I said. The next thing is to torque the bolts down and install the lower control arms. But the issue is, if you look at the Nissan factory service manual that has all the torque specs for everything, it specifically does state that you should torque everything down when the wheels are on the car and the car is on the ground. Basically when the suspension, has the load and everything like that. Otherwise, it can fail prematurely. The best way to do that is to put the wheels on and still have the car raised up so that you can get in here and torque some stuff. I plan on using the spare tires that I have. So the rollers that I have back there, I'm going to just stack them up, lower the car on them with the wheels, and then I'll torque it down. But the main thing is I got to get these lower control arms installed before I do so. So this is the tool that you'll need in order to actually get the lower control arms out. So with this ball joint, you got to put this fork, and I'll show it. You got to put this fork over there, and then you can get it good. But I'll show you. Shit. That did it though. So after that, we got them out. And the new ones are in. We got some Nismo parts on the S14 finally. I don't really have any pointers for getting it back in. After you pop it out with the puller, everything just bolts back up. It's easier to get it in than it is to get it out, I'll tell you that much. And then once you get it in, remember, you have those pins in the ball joint to keep it from walking off and completely coming out. So you want to replace those as well. But outside of that, yeah, all I have to do now is just button it back up, get the wheels on it, lower it, and then start torquing stuff down. So I'm gonna put the drive shaft back in, or bolt it back up, and start the process of reassembly. Nothing major, and then start torquing things down, and we're gonna take this thing for a test drive. So it's actually a day later. As you can see, the car is on the ground, but in the process of letting it down and all that stuff, I realized that the e-brake is not working. I mean, of course, from that you can't necessarily tell that it's not working, but my garage is the floor is sloped outward, so if I leave the e-brake down, the car rolls back, and as soon as I put it on the ground with the e-brake on, the car started rolling back. Okay, so yeah, what I found is that bracket in there, right there, that bracket that came out, and the cable was just hanging. So I've driven it a little ways away, and so far so good, but I did hear the bumping back here, and you know what I think it may be? I think it might be the trunk, because this clearance is so tight that if you move this up and down a little bit, which going over a speed bump would do, it can cause that noise. I only heard it once though. Every other time it didn't do it anymore, so I think I might be good. I need to work on the clearance with the trunk. I'll probably just trim the over fender back a little bit and then see how it looks from there. But so far so good. I'm gonna do the return trip and see what it looks like after that. But she is looking nice. Camera doesn't do it justice. So I've test driven the car a couple times now, and I am safe to say that the knocking in the rear is gone entirely. the banging noise that I was hearing prior to doing this, that's what's gone. And I had the same people spot me, and they confirmed that my rear end was solid. It wasn't moving around, nothing was running, nothing was wobbling, nothing had a mind of its own. So that pretty much did. The car is back solid again. It feels solid again, so on and so forth. The only difference that I have now is, I mean, my alignment it's always been messed up, but it's even more messed up. So ever since I matched the measurements on the rear, this wheel has way more camber than this wheel does. You can see this one is pretty straight up and down. All the suspension arms length on that side match this side, and this one is tilty boy. So I don't even know. But when I take the car to an alignment shop, I'm gonna have them take it, take it all apart. Or not take it apart, but get it all lined up. But yeah, we're stanced right now. But yeah, and then outside of that, it's just driving the car. I mean, I can tell now that the car is kind of together, it does not like being driven lightly. And the sad thing is that I'm driving it lightly so I can diagnose it and make sure that everything works. So it's been kind of hard getting used to driving the car because the clutch in it is aggressive. It wants to be revved up. It's not tuned properly. So you got to give it gas for it to kind of synchronize with everything. And looking out for all of that while still listening for weird noises, weird rattles, and making sure nothing's loose and all that other stuff is kind of a little bit of a hassle right now. But once I know that the car is mechanically sound and nothing's crazy going on with it, then I can focus on actually driving what I've created. So that's that. But just like I said in that little clip, the videos might take a little bit to come out. I know this one took a little bit to come out because I've been working on the bus, but like I'm literally gonna go work on the bus again right now. And the only thing that I could think of for this car in the future is preparing it to be painted. So finishing up the body work on the fenders, and then the body work on the rest of the car, and then prep it for paint. And then after that, we gotta take it to get in alignment. And after the alignment, it needs to be properly tuned, and then this car should be good to go. But technically speaking, it's good to register now, but I got to figure out how to do that in the state of Texas since I wasn't born here. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm just say like, comment, subscribe, follow the build, and until next time.